All right, let's take a ride around Austin, Texas. Guys, today I am at REI up in the Arboretum, and I'm going to go down to the airport and show you what it would be like if you're taking a ride to the airport from, you could call it Cedar Park, Round Rock if you're on this side of Round Rock, Great Hills, the Arboretum area, any of those areas here on the northeast side of town, or northwest side of town, sorry, even the Domain. So I am going to roll out of here, get this turned around, and it is about 3:30 on a Wednesday. Let's see what this drive is like. Like always, guys, Chris Pesek here, Pesek Properties. I'm a real estate agent here in Austin, and I deal with a lot of relocation buyers. And one of the questions that I get quite often is, hey, what's the drive like from X to Y? And I have to explain that, so I thought what I would start doing is just shooting these videos when I'm out and about in town, just to give people an idea that might be commuting to, relocating to the Austin area, whether it's somewhere in Austin or just outside one of the suburbs. Just trying to give people an idea of what these commutes actually look like. So, always great to be sitting at a light to start these videos, but what I'm trying to do is get out onto Breaker Lane here. Breaker cuts across from east to west, basically from 183, which is the road that we're going to take, and it goes across Mopac to the east. It goes right by the Domain. It goes right by Q2 Stadium, which is the Major League Soccer stadium here. And you know what? Instead of going to 183, I'm actually going to take a right and go to Mopac instead, because it's right here and that light is not turning for me. So right now I'm heading basically east, or generally east, towards the Domain and towards Q2 Stadium, and Breaker Lane goes all the way across to I-35 and then even on the east side of I-35. So this is an east-west road that goes a pretty good ways across the north side of Austin. And as I say the north side of Austin, I kind of have to catch myself because technically right now, geographically, we're in the center of Austin. Now, I'll describe what I'm talking about. It's the center of the Austin MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area, which basically is the Austin MLS, where the Board of Realtors operates. And it goes south about from San Marcos north to Jarrell, and east from Smithville, which is just on the other side of Bastrop, all the way west until really Marble Falls, Johnson City, Blanco area. So that's the MSA. And so when I say we're in the central, or the middle of Austin, geographically, that's what I mean, and that's where we are. So I'm coming up to Mopac here. Mopac goes north to south, basically all the way from Hayes County on the south all the way to Williamson County on the north. It kind of parallels I-35 just about the entire way. On the other side of Mopac here is the Domain. That is an area that's great for shopping and restaurants. There's a lot of new apartments and condos going up in that area. That is where the Q2 Stadium that I mentioned, home of the Austin, oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget the name of the team, Viva Verde. Anyway, the Austin Major League Soccer, MLS Austin team. That's all in that area, and it's also home to a lot of really good breweries up in that area. Really good area for just about anything if you like to get out and be around. Now, we're about 15 minutes from downtown Austin. If you'd go south on Mopac here, it'd be about 15 minutes to downtown Austin. I'm on the access that's taking us from Mopac over the top to 183 South. This section of 183 almost goes east-west. It goes a little bit to the northwest and southeast. But 183, generally speaking, through Texas, and it's a large highway that goes from South Texas to Northwest Texas. It's a major highway that runs north-south for the most part. And it comes up on the east side of Austin by the airport. That's why we're taking it over to the airport. Cuts across on this north part of downtown, or just north of downtown here, to the northwest side of Austin, and then turns and goes generally northwest into Northwest Texas. All right, so right here, this is basically our access down onto 183 South. The road here, the exit to our right is Burnett Road. It's a major northwest road There's a lot of lights on there. You'll generally want to take Mopac or I-35 northwest or north-south. But if there's traffic or anything, Burnett Road, it has pretty good access north and south. A lot of, at this point, it's grown to be a lot of retail with all of the living kind of off of Burnett. So Burnett is kind of a retail corridor. All right, getting up to speed again. 3:30 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Speed limit is 65. I'm doing 65. Traffic's moving just fine. You can tell today is an absolutely beautiful day, January 10th, 2024. We are about to get some cold weather for Austin. This morning it was 37, not too bad. It'll be upper 30s, low 40s until early next week, and it's forecast to drop into the low teens here, which for Austin's pretty cold. Fortunately, this time doesn't look like we're going to have any precipitation, so we should avoid the snowpocalypse and the ice apocalypse that we had over the last 2 years, and we shouldn't have major issues with down power lines and power outages like we had a couple of years ago. All right, moving again generally to the southeast here towards the airport. I'll mention a few of these roads. Lamar Boulevard is another major northwest road that goes downtown, and then it also crosses through downtown and goes into South Austin as South Lamar. North of the river, it's North Lamar. South of the river, it's South Lamar. That makes sense. Austin's pretty easy to get around from that standpoint. There are some roads that change names and things like that halfway through, but you'll figure it out for the most part. It's not terribly difficult to get around in Austin. This north part of Austin, on to my left, north of 183 here, Runberg Lane is another east-west road that has gotten, a deservedly rough reputation. But this area is really starting to come along, and people are spending money renovating homes, getting rid of homes, coming in and rebuilding. The area is gentrifying very quickly at this point, and it's just like anything else. It was one of the cheapest areas to buy houses in Austin after East Austin gentrified, and so people are coming in and buying houses. I've got a client now that came in and bought a house that was built in 1968, about 1,400 square feet. Ripped it down to the studs, completely renovated it, and we're about to list it here in the next week. And it's essentially a brand new house that just happens to be in an area that was built out in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So this area is coming along very quickly. Prices are going up very quickly, and at this point, if you're looking to get under 400,000 in Austin, this is one of the areas that you can still do it. But you're going to buy a house that needs to be renovated for the most part. Now, you may find some quick fix and flips where people have gone in and replaced flooring and painted and stuff like that, lipstick on a pig type renovations. But you're probably going to still want to redo some of the stuff yourself. But, for 400,000 at this point, 10 minutes to downtown Austin, not too bad. Not too bad at all. We're coming over I-35 right now. Okay, I-35 is again major road in the United States, not just in Texas. It goes essentially from Mexico to Canada, and goes right through the heart of downtown Austin. I typically try to stay off of I-35 as much as I can because it's notorious. Even at 10 o'clock at night, you are going to have traffic on that road. But if you have to get on it, downtown, it's 4 lanes each way, and there's a upper-lower split that can help alleviate some of the issues with traffic. But anyway, that was I-35 that we just crossed over. And as you cross over I-35, you officially enter East Austin. And again, East Austin had, probably through the 70s and 80s had developed a reputation for being an area that a lot of people really didn't want to go, especially after dark. Even though there's some great things in East Austin, and there were at that time. I mean, you think back to Hoover's was an amazing restaurant in East Austin, and they probably didn't get the traffic that they would have liked just because of the reputation that East Austin had. But over time, things change, and people buy up large swaths of land and tear down apartment complexes and old houses and things like that and rebuild it. And right now, East Austin is a thriving area. And there's parts of East Austin that are 5 minutes from downtown, and you could buy a house at one point for $500,000 that was brand new and live 5 minutes from downtown. So you can see why it was very, very popular and why the prices over here quickly skyrocketed. Also, we are about to come around. Actually, we're going right under 290 now. 290 cuts off of I-35 here on the northeast side of town and goes to Houston. If you come in on 290, you would go south on I-35. And if you want to stay on 290 on the south side of town, 290 cuts off to the west at what was known as Ben White. Before 290 existed as a freeway down there, Ben White was just an east-west road. And then you can take 290 through the southwest side of Austin, out into Dripping Springs and Fredericksburg, and out that way. So you can tell we're still just cruising along here. Now, they did turn part of 183 here into a toll road. I am not going to take that. I am philosophically opposed to toll roads. Personally, I view them as double taxation. And it's not good because that road's going to roll and I'm going to end up catching a couple of lights here, but it'll give me a chance to talk a little bit more about some of these areas that we're going through. And actually, you know what? I'm philosophically opposed to toll roads, but I'm seeing the traffic up ahead, so I'm not an idiot. So I'm going to go ahead and take the toll, and this traffic is just going to have to wait. I'll make this drive a lot shorter than what I was thinking, and you'll see this traffic backing up at what I'm talking about. Right over in this area to our right is University Hills, Windsor Park, Mueller. All of those neighborhoods are back over to our right, different distances away from us. Mueller was the old original Austin Airport. It was the Mueller Airport, and they moved it out away from downtown as Austin started growing. That was actually the first airport that I ever flew out of as a kid, and now it's out at Austin Bergstrom International, which used to be an Air Force base. So, a little bit of a history on that. So Mueller turned the old airport property into a subdivision, and they went in, and I've got a video on the Mueller subdivision. It's one of my favorite subdivisions where you can find housing under $1 million, and it's really close to downtown Austin. Got great hike and bike trails, a ton of, just water and things and outdoor space that they've built into it there. And it's really a nice subdivision. They didn't make it cookie cutter with other subdivisions. They tried to stay true to kind of old Austin. So you find a bunch of more craftsman looking homes and things like that, bungalows and stuff like that. So Mueller, they did an amazing job with. University Hills, Windsor Park, those are older neighborhoods, 70s and 80s when most of those houses were built. And, you can still find really nice remodels in there. Some people are going in, tearing out houses that were pretty dilapidated and have rebuilt them. But that's, again, that kind of northeast of downtown, really cool little area, a lot of nice restaurants and things like that. One of the things that makes Mueller nice is Dell Children's Hospital is in Mueller. There's a lot of restaurants, shopping. It's a master plan community that you really do not have to leave, unless you work out of. Continuing south, the area to the right now is really what was collectively known as East Austin, and that's a really sloppy term because there were a lot of different areas and neighborhoods in there that all have their own vibe. But back in the day, and I talked about this on a video yesterday when I was driving down Mopac, but back in the day, East Austin was the have-nots, and city council, they didn't spend much money in East Austin, and they really should have. It's kind of a tragedy, but East Austin has its own, it is a different part of Austin, from the culture to the restaurants to the nightlife to the houses, because it was so far behind the rest of Austin and kind of left out to dry, honestly. It developed into a really cool area. And now, it's a, man, I just can't say enough about East Austin and the restaurants and everything else down there. It's an area that you need to visit. If you've heard of places like Franklin Barbecue, Micklethwaite's, La Barbecue, stuff like that, they've made homes in East Austin. I mentioned Hudson's a while ago. There's a lot of really great, unique, kind of old Austin feeling places in East Austin now, so it's definitely worth a visit. Coming up here close to Airport Boulevard, 7th Street, so you can take 7th into downtown from here. So we're getting into that southeast area, close to the Colorado River, close to close to the airport at this point. I'll talk a little bit more about Austin Bergstrom International Airport. First of all, General Bergstrom is a fighting Texas Aggie, by the way. I always like to throw that in because I went to Texas A&M, and the university here is the University of Texas at Austin. And you know what? Anytime I can talk smack and, feel good about a fighting Texas Aggie having his name on the international airport at Austin, I'm going to do it, and I love doing it. So anyway, Bergstrom Airport was named after General Bergstrom, and it was it was built for B-52 bombers during the Cold War. My father-in-law and mother-in-law talk about how when they were kids, they used to have air raid drills here because obviously, if Russia was going to launch an attack, they were going to attack an air base that was built to house B-52 bombers, long-range ballistic bombers. So they talk about how the bombers, would run their flights and how they used to do air raid drills. And during the Bay of Pigs, my father-in-law talks about how the school at that point didn't have air conditioning, so the windows were open and they could hear all the bombers that were housed at Bergstrom taking off at the time. The runways are really long, and the Concorde jets don't fly anymore, but it was one of the few runways in the United States that could house the supersonic jets, or maybe they were hypersonic. I can't remember what the Concorde was. But anyway, it was one of the few runways that was long enough and flat enough to house those jets. And the reason it's flat enough is because I believe he said, my father-in-law, again, I get all of my Austin history from him. He mentions that the runways were poured 11 or 12 feet thick solid concrete, and they were one solid pour all the way from end to end. So it was just weeks and weeks of pouring concrete to get those runways poured. So really cool history for you. And I like to mention that the Hilton Hotel, and I'll show it, we'll drive by it here in a second. But the Hilton Hotel is the old Air Force headquarters. It was the base, right? The headquarters for the base. Now you see here, we're gonna go Austin Bergstrom International Airport to the left. Ben White Boulevard and 71 go off to the right. That joins back to 290, back off, in Southwest Austin, like I mentioned, at I-35. And then if you continue straight there, that's 183 going to Lockhart and then Luling. Lockhart's really blowing up right now as one of the suburbs. Really cute small town, great old school Texas courthouse. It's the county seat for Caldwell County, and it's got a downtown square area that's really old, really neat little town, and it's starting to come along. People are starting to move there because it's really only about 20-25 minutes down the road from here, about 35 minutes from downtown Austin. So you will always see traffic right here where 71 and 183 come together, so be careful. It usually backs up in front of you from the airport. Just word of caution there. And technically from the airport, or to go to the airport, you're going to go one exit further, and you'll see the exit up ahead. It's Austin Bergstrom International Airport exit. But I'm going to exit one early for the cell phone lot so I don't have to go through the terminal, and it'll give me a chance to tell you about this Hilton Hotel. By the way, if you stay at this Hilton, if you are in one of the lower floors, or if you have a conference downstairs in the basement, which is where all of the briefing rooms used to be, and now that's where the conference rooms are, meeting rooms, you will not have cell phone coverage because that is a hardened shelter against nuclear attack. So it's hardened against EMPs from what I'm told, and so you will not have any type of cell phone coverage down there. Again, word of caution. And if you have your own car, there's a lot of covered parking here at Bergstrom International, not only at the airport, but also very close by with some third-party companies like Parking Spot and things like that, Park and Zoom. Those are off here to our left as well. But anyway, back to the headquarters here. Couple of cool things. Like I said, it was a hardened headquarters. Now it's the Hilton Hotel at the airport. And from what I'm told, not only, was this an Air Force base, but there's old Nike missile silos. And if you don't want to know what a Nike missile is, search it a little bit on the Googles and read up on Nike missiles. Again, Cold War era, and there were silos all around this area. But the next nearest, and here's the hotel right here to our right. I'll try to get my finger in here. This is the Hilton Hotel. I'll kind of reorient that so you can see. It is built completely round. Okay, very cool, right? And it used to have basically an observation tower on the top of it. And I'm going to do a little UE here. And the nearest Air Force base to Austin was the Air Force bases, I believe it's Lackland and Kelly, down in San Antonio. And there were also towers between Austin and San Antonio, so that if the event of a attack on the U.S. and they lost communications, this airport and Air Force base at the time is built on top of a hill, and there were hilltop towers between here and San Antonio where this Air Force base could communicate with the Air Force bases in San Antonio via light signals and Morse code. So a lot of really cool strategic things that are afoot here at our international airport. So anyway, guys, that is the tour today. I'm available for you. Again, this is what I do. I'm a real estate agent. I love having relocation buyers and helping relocation buyers. If this content's interesting to you, make sure you subscribe. If you would like me to take a ride and give you an idea, like if you want to go, I don't know, from downtown to Georgetown, let me know. I've got a list of these videos that I'm working through, but let me know if there's something that you want to see soon, and I'm more than happy to do that for you. Again, Chris Pesek Properties. I'm a broker associate, and I love helping people move to Austin, Texas. We'll see you on the next video.